state of Iowa. Privileged to be a part of this game and excited to be a part of my 6 years as a head coach. Really pleased with the improvement that we made from game 1 to game 2, and understand we got to keep making that kind of improvement if we're going to improve overall as a football team and have an opportunity to win football games. Levi Peters will not be available to us this week or for the rest of the season. He's having surgery today on a blown Achilles tendon.
When you recruited Jarvis,
you do that like you get ready to sing. I like that.
I know, yeah, it happened.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got it. When you recruited Jarvis, did you are you getting what you expected, or did you expect him to, is he doing the same roles that you thought he would play?
Yeah, exactly. And we thought maybe he'd do it sooner, and would have had he not blown his hamstring as a freshman, as a true freshman. He was in line to be our returner then, and then I don't know, 10 days out or a week out or whatever it was, he blew his hamstring on the kickoff return in practice. Otherwise, he would have been doing it that first year. He's had some soft tissue injuries. He had the knee a year ago. I don't think he's had an opportunity to compete like he is right now for the full extent of his career, just because of some injury issues. But his high school tape, he was so stop and go quick, maybe as quick as anybody I've seen in the recruiting efforts, and he's doing that right now.
Was he? Oh, did he? I assume. Maybe I'm wrong. Did he play any defense in high school? Can you recall?
Not that I recall, but and we didn't recruit him at all.
No, I know
as a
that.
defensive player.
Looks like Corey's going to have a interesting matchup with Brandon Sheriff. Can you talk a little bit about the challenges that's going to present for him?
Yeah, Brandon's a great player. We tried awfully hard to recruit him, and Corey's a great player as well, who plays extremely hard, and I think it'll be one of those matchups that fans will enjoy watching as the game goes along. Two guys that are skilled in their crafts and play the game of football the way you want to play it, hard and physical.
Paul, what's the biggest improvement you've seen from Sam Richardson this year, and how's that helping the offense?
The biggest improvement is probably his poise in the pocket and his ability to stay in there and work through his progressions. And I tag right on top of that his throwing accuracy right now. He's really delivered a nice ball.
And how's that helping the offense? What does that have that wasn't there a year ago?
We didn't throw and catch with the rate of success that we are right now. And we didn't finish pass plays like we are right now. Too many pass plays broke down and never got past the first progression.
How important will it be for Sam to stay put in an atmosphere like Kenny Stadium?
Oh, very important. The good thing is Sam's been on the road. He's been in hostile conditions, and so that's not going to be anything that's a surprise to him or new to him. We're going to have to handle the noise overall as an offense, and got to make sure we get preparation on that this week in practice.
Well, after reviewing film of Jake Campos' first start, what were your reactions? And then, of course, he faces another challenge with off the edge there.
Competed, really competed hard as a redshirt freshman. Had some mistakes, didn't necessarily grade out extremely well. But you got to understand, he was going against one of the best in the Big 12, and he never backed down from that challenge. He improved from the beginning of the game until the end of the game, and never, as I said, stopped competing throughout the whole process.
Coach, last week I asked you about confidence level. You said it was low after week 1. You didn't win week 2, but it was obviously much improved. Confidence level difference between week 1 and week 2 now from what you've seen out of the guys?
Well, yeah, we did improve, and with that improvement, even in a loss, you'll go into the next week, this week, with more confidence as players and more credibility, if you will, as coaches. They knew what the plan was from Sunday to Saturday, and we followed up on it, they followed up on it, and they saw the improvement. And the same will be true this week as we begin preparations tomorrow in earnest for Iowa and what we give to them and what it's going to take to be successful.
Coach, with Peters going down, and you've already had a couple of season-ending injuries, and then Gannon leaving the team, does it feel like you've already faced a lot of adversity as a team early on this season?
we've certainly faced adversity. Quantitatively, I don't know what's a lot and what's different from year to year. Got three season-ending injuries right now, and one starter who's currently left the team, and some bad breaks and things like that in the first 2 games that we've had to overcome as well. So it's athletics. There's going to be adversity. It's how you face them and how you respond that determines a lot of outcomes and determines improvements. And from week 1 to week 2, I'm pleased with how we faced adversity.
Can you assess the Mike linebacker position, how you graded out last week, kind of what Alton's status is, and then also maybe Jordan Harris, is he getting close to impacting that position?
Yeah, Jevin Miller made us a better football team moving from Will to Mike linebacker. And as we spoke after week 1, there's things you don't really know about your football team until you start playing other people. And we felt the need to move Jevin to Mike linebacker after that first game. Being the first time out there playing in a game situation, he made a few mistakes, but overall he played very well and certainly was productive. He'll remain there. Alton and Kane will both back him up as a Mike linebacker, but Alton will be featured as our starting Sam linebacker in our base personnel grouping. And Jordan is not quite ready to break into any kind of lineup for us.
Coach, through the first 2 games, Iowa's front 4 on defense looks to be pretty stout. Is that kind of the biggest area of concern on your offense going against their defense, is keeping that front 4 back away from Sam and maybe trying to open up some holes?
Well, the front 4 is a great concern, but the entire defense is a concern for us. Iowa historically, traditionally has been known for being extremely sound, not allowing a lot of points, being where they're supposed to be, not giving up a lot of big plays, and this defense is no different. Coach Parker does a great job, known him for a long time. He's carried over the philosophies and what Coach Parker had started before him. From a guy who's a defensive guy, they're a fun group to watch because they're fundamentals, and as you said, they're stoutness up front. Those front 4 can control the football game.
Paul, Jevin called a defensive meeting on Friday. He's one of your leaders. How has he grown as a leader, especially within the last year?
Tremendously. As much as Jeremiah George improved as a player, from his sophomore year to his junior year, and then again from his junior year to his senior year, Jevin's done that in his leadership capabilities. This is a guy who I think I said this earlier, I don't think I would ever see Jevin as a leader. As a guy who would be vocal, as a guy who would step up. And it's not a knock on him. It's just some guys are and some guys aren't, and I wouldn't have seen that in Jevin right now without question. He and Corey Morrissey are the leaders of our defense, and proud of him for stepping up and getting up and laying out some things necessary for us to be successful.
When did that change happen? Was it in the summer? Was it in the spring? When did you really see it?
More summer than spring. I don't think he had arrived at that point in the spring, still taking care of himself. But I think he probably started to realize the position he was in this summer, heading towards his last season, and has been smart enough to take advantage of that.
Coach, Robbie Garcia is a guy who kind of got thrown into that position due to some attrition in the offseason. He's got 2 sacks in 2 games. Has he been a pleasant surprise for you?
He has been a pleasant surprise, and he's a guy that will keep getting better, and as the turntable spins, I mean, you're just going to keep hearing me say that about a number of our guys because they don't have reps and experience yet. Robbie's moving better. He'll start to play even faster as he really understands the speed that it takes to be successful. There's a word that we're using right now, urgency. And a guy like that, a guy like Alan Lazar, okay, Alan Lazar's not playing particularly fast yet. He's being productive, and he's very important to us right now, but he's not playing particularly fast yet. Probably Garcia is the same way. Jake Campos is the same way. Yeah, we're pleased but not surprised what Robbie's given us in two games.
Paul, Iowa's running game is always important to them. They haven't really gotten off strong yet, but last year they were able to do kind of what they wanted to against you. Do you expect them to kind of revert back to what they did? And what are the challenges, because they have 4 different running backs they employ quite a bit?
Yeah, they're going to establish the run game. I mean, that's who they are, and I don't have any doubt that that's what we'll see from them. They're figuring things out just like every team in America is figuring things out right now. But yeah, we're going to see things that we've seen in the past, as well as who they are right now from a personality standpoint.
Paul, how is Jarvis West's role changed now that Quentin Bundridge isn't available?
If you would have said that who's your go-to wide receiver, who's it going to be by the time the season ends, I think we all would have said Quentin Bundridge. I think right now that shifts to Jarvis West from the wide receiver position. We still need more better ball distribution than we did last week. Daly's got to be a part of every game. Montgomery and Ekby got to be a part of every game, and so forth. If you got that one guy you're just locking on, they're eventually going to take him away. They're going to scheme him and personnel him, and they're going to take him away. So you got to be able to get everybody involved.
Coach, being an Iowan, do you get the sense that the juices start to flow on Monday during the Cy-Hawk week, maybe a little bit more than some other non-conference games?
The non-conference games,
yeah,
probably so. Yes. You know, I've said over and over that every game is extremely important, and although you might not see it, my juices are flowing every Monday, early in the day, not just when I come in here at 11:30. But yeah, rivalry games are special. The fact that I'm an in-state guy along with a lot of our players probably makes it even more important to them. But it doesn't take long to be a part of the culture and part of the program to understand the importance of this game.
Coach, what have you seen in Iowa quarterback Jake Rudock, and are you surprised by Iowa's passing numbers so far in the kind of off the charts for Iowa?
Well, I'm not surprised by Jay. I think he's a heck of a football player. He's a fear to run it. He can and will take off and run, and very athletic, comparable to Sam, I think, in that regard. He can stick the ball in between 2-3 defenders if he has to do that. He's got nice touch on the deep ball, and Iowa certainly is not afraid to throw the deep ball. I think they're taking advantage of his physical abilities, and that shows in what they're doing.
Paul, you said on Saturday you wanted to get the running game going more. What did you see reviewing film, and what is it that you guys need to work on to get it to where you want?
Well, running the ball successful comes down to 2 primary things. More that goes into it than 2 primary things, but you got to block well, and runners got to run well. And overall, we're not doing a good enough job of getting that accomplished right now. And, you open up holes by either knocking them out of the way or staying on them and doing what I call keeping them busy. A defensive lineman might be in the gap where the ball is actually being run, but if you can keep him busy having to fight you off, you can still run by him. And then ball carriers, they got to make people miss. I've said it here before. There was always a guy that we didn't account for with Troy Davis. He was Troy's guy, and those ball carriers got to account for some people in the run game as well. And overall, we're just not doing a good enough job of that yet.
Paul, how did Tom Farniok impress you in his quick recovery and seemingly very good play on Saturday?
Impressed without a doubt. I mean, he was in a lot of pain the first Saturday, in enough pain that he couldn't come back and play effectively. And then within a week's time, and on a short stick of a preparation, he was back out there leading that offensive line, both mentally and physically. So very impressive. You know, my hat goes off to any player who's playing through not just pain but injury, just like it goes off to a Levi Peters, whose season is now done, and Quentin Bundridge and Ben Loft and so forth. But again, it's not a surprise that Tom did that. It's also not a surprise that Levi Peters, after he tore his Achilles, battled a defender 15 yards on an Achilles tendon rupture, and then threw him off him to help try to get involved in the play. That's courage and toughness.
Just a follow-up before I ask this, the Rob's question, how much is Tom practicing?
He'll practice the whole way this
whole
week.
week?
Yeah, he'll practice the whole way this week.
The second half points situation, of which there have been none, what's the difference between halves there for you guys?
Production of 35 points versus 0 points. And is it all about adjustments? No. A lot of it is execution. A lot of it is long fields, which we've been in both second halves throughout the first 2 games. We had more momentum in the second game than we did in the first game. We got some first downs. We got across midfield, and then this or that stalled us. And it's part of the progression. It's part of that adversity we talked about earlier that you got to face, and sooner or later people make plays and keep moving the sticks, and you end up in the end zone.
What's kind of your game plan with Wimberley and Neely moving forward?